Shy Guy Mai Tai here. Welcome back to another episode of What I'm Playing. I'm going to be picking up again with some Sorcery Story Time. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight into it. Okay, so last time we were playing, we pretty much just got introduced to the kind of the mechanics of the game. We got a spell book, we got to beat up some dudes. So now we're actually going to go through the Gantopani gate and into Kakabad. So drag. Let's go. So the path winds through slopes of wild scrubland. The countryside is deserted and the eerie silence is broken only by the cawing of the occasional crow. The birds appear to pause in the air to examine you as they pass. Stupid creatures. They pose no threat, so ignore them. Keep walking. Barely an hour beyond the wall and the air begins to grow foul. The Shamutanti hills are infested with the pestilence of the backlands. It saps the energy from your body, leaving you feeling nauseous and weak. Cover your mouth. You cover your mouth with your neck scarf, but it does no good. They warned you of this. You will grow accustomed to it the longer you are out here. But for the moment, you must be very careful. Your maximum stamina has decreased. You can see your stamina at the top of your screen. This is up here. Brilliant. So, stamina... Okay. Carry on. So... do we want a low rise or to travel cross country? So... if you go cross-country, I'm kind of guessing we're going to come across, like, beasts and stuff. If we go low-rise, I think we're going to come across vagabonds. I want to go low-rise. Another hour passes and you crest a small hillock from the top of which you can see the path continuing downwards into a small settlement of huts. This must be Cantopani. Okay. Look at the village. From this distance, it's hard to make out much about the town, except that it must be desperately poor. The fields on either side are brown with caked mud, and a few penned animals are thin and wizened like thirsty vines. No wonder the Sightmaster warriors don't trouble themselves to protect this place. There is nothing here to protect. Continue. Let's go in. Let's go in. We don't shy away from villages. Of course, if you were scared of a town like Cantopani, then you could hope not to survive in the Kakaban proper. You follow the paths down into the town. The round huts are made from hard-baked bright clay and the roofs are thinly thatched. As you pass, eyes appear at dark doorways, tracking your every move. For a moment it seems like this will be all you see from the town's inhabitants, but then a village appears from one of the dwellings and blocks your path. Let's cast a spell. So I've heard you should always cast spells. Can I look at my spellbook? Hang on. Spellbook. So... makes creatures... The spell cast multiple images... I don't have any of these items. Do you know what? Let's just see what happens. So, do we click back on? Look at him. He is 5 feet tall. They cannot grow much taller out here in this poisonous air. He has thick-set arms and thighs and is half-clothed in tattered breeches. His eyes are wild and his long red hair and beard stand out from his face in a wiry tangle. "Halt, stranger!" he commands. "What business have you in Cantopani?" Let me see. I need directions. I need directions. To where? He demands. I'm on my way to Care, you say. I have myself never left this village, the man declares with pride. Although I can tell you there are 2 paths ahead, but my advice is not free. You must have money on you. For 2 gold pieces, I'll tell you what I know. I won't pay to hear your make-believe. The man shrugs. Your gold won't save your hide from the Lotus or the Elven, he replies, but it's your decision, and he stands aside to let me move on by. You stride on into the very centre of the village. There are a few larger houses here. Even Cantopani has its nobility, it seems. But the only spot of interest is a small inn offering food for sale. So, let's pop on in. You head inside. The place is just a low table and a black iron pot above a stove. A woman watches you with a wide, fearful eyes. Greet the woman. Look at me, commoner, you declare coldly. You will feed me now. It's 1 gold piece for the stew, she replies, voice shaking. Oh, I'll pay. I don't know why I'm being such an asshole. I'll take some stew. You pay the woman a gold piece and she hands you a steaming bowl. The broth inside is a thick paste of lentils, spices and hunks of meat. But it's not bad for all that. Once finished, you leave without another word. You head out of Cantopani and along the path into the Shamutanti Hills. Past Cantopani. Striding past the outlying huts, you send the villagers rushing indoors to hide. Then at the edge of town, you pass a large boulder, and at once 2 rough-cut villagers spring out with swords. Bandits. 2 against 1, the first declares. You're lost, calls the other. So hand over all your things. Come on. Deal with these curs. You draw yourself to your full height. You've mistaken me for someone else, you declare. You will suffer for your mistake. The bandits growl and advance on you, 1 on either side. Cast a spell. So I am going to zap these mothers. Zap. Zap. Can I only... Zap? What is zap? Huh? I only... Oh. Okay. That makes sense. So I can only cast the spells from what's there. But I have an F. Creates a protective force field, so we'll try and go for that. Buff. Buff, buff, buff. That's the spell. Buff. F. O. F. Cast. You cast the spell, raising an invisible force field all around you. Try as they might, the bandits cannot harm you. They cannot even get close. Releasing the power of your sorcery, they quickly flee back to the village. This is a stroke of luck, as the force field does not last long. You continue along the path leading the village. About half an hour later, you reach the start of the climb of the hills proper, and continue upwards. Perfect. Those fools. Leaving the Cantopani behind marks the true start of the wilderness. Beyond the tiny outpost, there are scattered homesteads and care. A thriving city port, but all are touched by cruelty, isolation and fear. The backlands and the long shadows past the Mampang fortress darken everything. And with the crown gone, and with the crown stolen, things can only grow worse. In the long years since Kahalana, the reformer, founded the alliance, the crown has been passed from kingdom to kingdom every 4 years, ensuring each kingdom has its turn to lead. But no more. Ruddlestone, Lendelland, Galanteria and Bryce have all enjoyed its power. But when the crown came to Analand, it was stolen by birdmen from Zamen and carried off to Mampang. With the crown, the Archmage will be unstoppably powerful. There's no chance of sending an army against him. A military force would not survive the journey. So here you are, a lone adventurer walking the long path to Mampang alone. 5 minutes later, you reach a fork in the road. The sergeant, for all his eyesight, hadn't mentioned this. Oh. Fork in the road. The road splits around the base of a gigantic tree, but does not rejoin on the other side. The left hand wides down into a valley, and the right side rises up a slope towards the first thick forest of the hills. Look right. It's hard to see much further uphill. The forest is sudden and thick, and the path narrow. It may be hard going in that direction, but the hills will involve a lot of climbing. Eventually, you may get a decent view of the next leg from the top of the ridge. Look left. You pause to consider the lower route. There's a river there, and the path follows the left bank. It is a safer route, secluded and protected, but the curve of the landscape would mean you are almost backtracking. You're about to make a choice when you hear a faint cry from somewhere close at hand. Look around. You look around, then finally up into the branches of a tree. A pair of wizened, calloused feet are dangling down over your head, about to drop on you, perhaps? Who's there? You call. The voice cries again, a little more boldly this time. Up here! Help! Help! I can't get down! Is the voice of a feeble, wiry old man. Stepping back a little, you can see him clearly, as thin as sticks and dressed in dirty rags. There he is there. Look at him now. Let's see. Help him down. Swinging yourself into the lowest branch of the tree, you reach up and grab the old man by the waist. He is light as a leaf, and within a moment you have lifted him to the ground. Thanks for that, he remarks, brushing down and almost knocking himself over in the process. I was just starting to get a bit, perturbed. but I'm on the safe now. He seems remarkably confident considering the slightest stumble might break him into bits. Let me see. What will you do now? You ask. Keep going for Analand, he says. That's where I set off from. Well, back now. You wouldn't believe the story if I told you. Suffice to say, though, if I knew my eyes from my eyes, you're heading out to Mampang, and you'd better be smarter than I was. And here. He presses a page into your hand. It is a page torn from a spell book. This might be of some use to you. I found this. Just found it, mind, and don't go asking out, but it's no good to me anymore. Look at the page. You look over the page suspiciously. It seems to be half of a spell. C.A. What might it have been used for? That might have been used for pest repulsion, but is unworkable in its current state. Keep it. You take the page and put it into your pack. The man files quiet and squats down on the ground. With his jammering done, you hear a buzzing around sound from high atop in the tree. A beehive. Let's climb up and investigate. Leaving the old man sighing with gratitude on the ground, you climb up through the branches of the tall tree. The beehive. The beehive hangs like a ripe fruit from the very highest branch. A huge number of bees dance in and out in a swarm. Use magic. You get your balance enough to free your hands for a spell. Cast a spell. So... fire, maybe? Can I do that? Let me see, what do I have? What would be of use? Dumb. Don't think I had that. I got like bees. Big. Oh, I'll be able to do that. Stop. Unlock doors. Stamina. Jig. I can't see too many of these being very helpful. Doze. Let's see if we can do that. If we can't, do that. Doze. D. O. Z. Causes slowness. Cast. You cast the spell over the bees, slowing their buzzing wings. The effect is unexpected. The bees begin to fall out of the sky. It seems without buzzing at high speed, they cannot stay afloat. The spell has also affected the old man. He begins to snore right where he is. With the swarm cleared, you are able to climb up the tree and open the hive, removing a succulent honeycomb and a nice ball of beeswax. You stash your finds in your pack. The light is fading. It's time to move on. Oh! The man cries, suddenly waking up once more. Do you want to hear me riddle? I heard it from the Elvins. Hear him out. You gesture with your hand for him to speak. See him through, he sees you not. A stinging beast in a box not left. To guard a key it is his lot. To jail a witch of luck bereft. It is nonsense, clearly. You nod once, and then turn your attention to the path. I want to go on the high path. The high route seems the most secure. In a valley you can easily be observed from above and led astray, but out in the hills you can go whichever way you choose. Of course, when the night falls it may be cold and exposed on the slopes, but no matter. The journey was never destined to be easy. You begin the climb, letting the old man's jabbering fade quickly away. The path winds upwards into the hills and into a cover of a wood. The afternoon sun glints through the trees and plays tricks on your eyes. Every so often you catch a glimpse of some strange-shaped animal or other watching you, only to find that it is the silhouette of branches and leaves caught at an odd angle. After an hour's walk, you are starting to feel very slightly hungry, but you might want to be wise saving your provisions. Let's continue walking. You keep up your pace. The climb continues, but the path twisting this way and that. The air grows cold and the sun flickers on the horizon, then sets, making it hard to see your way. But the moon is full, and then, when twilight is done, it will be bright once more. I reckon we should make camp. But to tire yourself on the first day would be inauspicious. You settle down to make camp for the night, in a natural shelter provided by the roots of 3 gigantic intertwined trees. Your backpack will serve for a pillow, and your cloak for a blanket. Before settling to sleep, you check through your pack. You have 3 rations left. Let's settle down to sleep. Ooh. You lay yourself on the ground and are quickly asleep. The moon is full and high in the sky when you next open your eyes. You feel warm and more cozy than you did before. as if wrapped in a gigantic blanket. There is a pain in your leg. Ooh. Slowly you realize what is happening. A giant bat has settled on your chest and is feeding on your leg. Cast a spell. Let's see, what do I have? I don't know the spells well enough to just go, so apologies, I have to go looking at this every time. Let's try law. Let's see what happens. I think I had L's. Yeah. L A W. Cast. Law! You complete the spell and the bat stiffens. It is responding to your mental commands. Order it away, order it to attack itself. Order it away. You direct it to fly away, and it dutifully takes to the air and flies away. The soft night returns without further incident, and you settle back down. Sleep. Once again, the crown fills your dreams. Only now, instead of being hidden away in Mampang Fortress by the Archmage, you see it in the head of a burly villager from Cantopani. Anyone can wear the crown, he declares to you, but wearing the crown, you are no longer just anyone. And then he points a finger at you, and that seems to crackle with energy, and you find yourself drawn towards him, commanded to do his bidding. The woman from the inn is beside you. She spits at you when you look at her. Suddenly you're surrounded by angry bees. You're walking towards a crack in the ground. It seems sure to swallow you whole. You stumble at the edge, about to fall. The next morning. The second day of your journey begins in the morning cool. Still halfway between sleeping and waking, you feel the presence of your spirit, the gorilla, close nearby. Its form has changed since you left Analand, just as you have changed, but it is still walking beside you. In the temple, they taught you that a prayer to your spirit could heal disease, lift curses, even save you from certain death. A prayer now would perhaps be wise, but the spirits are not generous and often decline to help often. So, let's pray. Your spirit is the gorilla, the king of the great apes, a creature of honor and good faith who accepts both danger and misfortune as traveling companions without hesitation. But after prayer, your spirit will not hear you again for some time. Pray for healing. Brilliant. Clicky click. Walk on. You can feel yourself getting accustomed to the fetid air of these hills. You are now ascended several hundred feet and can expect to make excellent progress before the end of the day. At the crest of the brow of the hill, you see something that makes you stop in your tracks. To your left is a clearing, and in the clearing are several poles planted firmly in the ground. At the top of each pole is a head. Look at the heads. The heads are all kinds and ages. Some are recently fixed, while others are decayed, and some are nothing but skulls and hair. There are human heads, goblin heads, and one or two heads of creatures you do not recognize. All have sewn-up eyes and mouths. A large X painted rock nearby is obviously intended as a warning not to venture any further, but ahead the road forks left and right, and you cannot be sure which path you are warned not to take. Right-hand path continues to climb, and the left-hand path winds down the side of the hill. So, check our items. Magical items. 2 quantities of beeswax. Okay. Okay, I don't need that. We're gonna climb. We're gonna climb. The climb continues up the hill for several hours until you are not far from the top. Then a faint sound of bustling activity reaches you. Tramping feet, grunting voices, and the clanking of metal against rock. There's something ahead, hidden by the ancient tree that's lined these slopes. Follow the sound. You leave the path and continue through the woods. A short distance onwards, you hide behind a tree and survey a clearing. A number of goblins are in the clearing, working at the mouth of an open cave. They trudge in and out of the opening, carrying large bowls in their arms, piled up with glistening rocks and dull metallic nuggets. So watch them work. You stay hidden, getting a sense of the scale of the operation. There are at least 30 goblins inside the cave, each coming out every few minutes or so with a new pail of stones. Then there are other goblins working the clearing with hammers, smashing the rocks into small pieces, extracting metals from inside, loading them into carts, and finally pushing the carts away down a wide track between the trees. It is quite some operation, but not without its weakness. There are too many goblins to create any kind of distraction, but they move away into the trees fairly often, and sometimes the cave is left unguarded. I have to go in. Try and slip inside the cave. You creep closer, moving around the side of the hill, nearer to the entrance of the cave. Then, when all is quiet, you seize your chance and race across the clearing of the mouth of the cave. Zoom. You pause a moment at the cave mouth, but no one has seen you. Following the passage cautiously, you move between a cool rock of the mine, passing ignoring ladders, and lead down the clamouring heart of the mine, where 100 goblins sing as they work. Eventually, you reach a junction. Oh, let's go right. You follow the passage to the right. It twists around deeper into the hillside and ends in a sealed wooden door. Try the door. You try the door, it's locked. Cast a spell. Can't remember what it's called. Sorry. Let's go. Shwip, 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 shwip. Stop. Okay. Do I even have a D? Do I have a D? Do I have a D? Looks like a D. D. O. P. Locks and doors. Stop! You cast the spell, the door shudders as its lock turns over, and then the handle moves of its own accord. On your guard, you watch as it swings open. The room beyond is large and appears to be a storeroom of some kind. In one corner is a pile of black rocks, and more rocks are held in buckets nearby. These flicker with dull, glistening light. But most of intriguing all is what stands in the centre of the space, a mechanical apparatus, perhaps a press or stone gutter, being operated by a large and powerful ogre. He does not, for the moment, seem to have noticed him. I'm here, I'm going in. Boldly you step out of the doorway and into the pool of candlelight that fills the room. The ogre stops working immediately and turns to face you. Growling incomprehensibly like the slug he is, you will not be able to reason with him. So we want to go big here. So let me see what it is. Big, easily enough to remember. So let's cast a spell. I might maybe be able to scare him off if I'm big. Oh. Okay. So let's take another quick look. We had some K's in there. Let's walk. I don't have that. Oh, I can. The spell requires a gold coin which is placed on the caster's wrist. When the spell is cast, it will transform into an invisible metal shield, but the coin will be... no. By rubbing the wax on the blade, the casting of the blade will become razor sharp and do at least double its normal damage. That might be one. Doze. Did I have a D? I don't think so. Don't think I had that. Fog, mud. Sap. Oh, let's just type in things and let's see what happens. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Click. That's the spell. Is that a D? E or D K D I Dim. Well, it really is stupid, but you cast a spell and wait for it to take effect. The ogre lunges, but then stops, shaking its head, looking at you, and then itself. With a puzzled expression, it takes a step forwards, then back. It is thoroughly confused. Now, kill it. So, let's start off with a hard attack. Charge. The ogre stomps towards you, stumbling and shuffling, but still huge and fearsome. It swings up its hammer, almost throwing it right at you. Taking a chance, you lever your sword for its thick neck. As it brings the hammer down as best it can towards your skull, you take advantage of its brutish to land a heavy blow. The ogre stumbles, suddenly crashing into the machine, which almost buckles under the weight. Cautious but angry, it stomps the rock with one heel, growling. We're going to go for a cut. You strike again, move swiftly. You aim for its heart. As the ogre swings for your head, the ogre howls in rage and fear. It is a dumb creature and it cannot understand what is happening to it. Its deep-set, stupid eyes are watching you closely, not wanting to take a risk. So we'll just go for a quick jab. Boom! You lunge forwards again. You chase the ogre with a passing blow. Then you swing again and the sword cleaves into the ogre's side. Yeah! He gurgles unhappily as he slumps to the floor. You breathe a sigh of relief. You are still alive. No stamina lost. Flawless fighting. Let's try out the machine. Going over to the enormous machine, you try cranking the handle to see what happens, but you simply do not have the strength to make it move. Following the tubes and chutes of the machine, you discover a large gem, an emerald, about the size of your fist. It should be a good trade, around 10 gold pieces. You place it carefully into a bag. Search the table. You look through the heaps of rock on the table to see if any catch your eye, but they all seem fairly ordinary. Search the corners of the rooms. Moving to the corners of the rooms, you do a careful sweep. After a few minutes, you come across something soot-covered but solid. Wiping it with your tunic, you find a second large gem, which you take. You search the room thoroughly now. It is time going forward before someone comes to find the ogre. You head back to the fork in the passage. The sunlight from outside is very tempting. We're going to leave the mine. And we're also going to leave it there. So, getting a lot more interesting. I'm really enjoying this game. It's just such a simple idea that you make these quick decisions and there's all these crazy outcomes. Like, you could play this just so boring and just keep going down the path, but you know, every so often you get tempted to go out and fight ogres that are milling stones. But I've been Shy Guy Mai Tai. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you can, I'd really appreciate it if you could drop a subscribe below. If you can as well, a like and a comment. It goes so much to helping me. But I will see you next time for some more Sorcery Story Time.